Hey guys, my name is JT and I'm here to make you better at chess. Today we are going to go over the London. And you're like, oh no, why the London? No! But it's such a good opening. It's such a good opening. And if you learn this opening, I think you'll be really solid. So follow this series. Definitely I'm going to show you some dynamic London ideas. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them either down below or you can come to my Twitch stream. I stream every single day, Monday through Saturday from 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check it out. And also remember, I do have a Patreon if you want to support this channel. I'm giving all this stuff away for free. You don't have to, but if you just want to maybe buy me a Capri Sun or an Arizona iced tea drink once a month, the link is also going to be down below. Okay, so let's get into the London. So today's lesson is going to be awesome, I think. So this is d4, d5, bishop f4, knight f6, e3, e6, and bishop d3. And so the London, you're basically not trying to win in the opening. You're not trying to win in the opening. You're trying to win in the middle game and in the end game, and some very simple ideas, right? So bishop e7, knight to d2, and then here they play h. After b6, they play h3, and h3 is not really a necessary move here. Now you're thinking, well, we need to preserve the bishop. We need to preserve the f4 bishop, right? This is one of the common plans that I always see, but this is actually inaccurate. Let's say we don't play h3. Let's say we play knight to g to f3, right? But now you can play knight h5. Oh no! But here we have a beautiful move, okay? And if they try to press their luck and they try to exchange that knight for that bishop by playing f6, then here's where the London, which has a boring reputation, right? The London has a boring reputation. Here's where we can get some tactics in. Let's just take this off. Bam! Actually, we can even leave it on. I think I would enjoy it. If you guys just saw this, yeah, lines, right? Not only are we attacking this, our bishop is here, right? So let's say they take here. Now things get rough. Things get rough. Knight f7. Ooh, knight f7, queen e8. Give me this square as well. Come on, this is already too good. Bishop g6, the dagger. The idea is if they take. And we're just absolutely winning, right? But the London's supposed to be boring. It's not supposed to have tactics. There are a lot of tactics. Not only that, they have positional tactics, right? Right, so let's say they don't do that, right? They see everything. So let's say they play instead of this. What happens if they play g6? Now we got to keep saucing them. The tactics don't stop. Right? This almost looks like a Mihai game, right? Right? You're just sacking everything. Everything's hanging, but you just can't take anything. King f7. g4. 2 pieces hanging. And we're attacking another piece. Okay, guys. If takes, right? If takes, then we have this, and this with the good game after knight to g7, bishop f4. And if they try to play g5, then we play knight e5. But we have a great game from here, and we have a very easy advantage. We control the dark squares. Let's go bishop. I think one of our main plans is just maybe to play queen to e2. Or even queen to d2, maybe try to expand over here, maybe castle and then take control of the g5. There's many plans here. You choose whatever you want to do, right? So let's say they don't go for this. Let's say they don't want to take. They understand that it's bad, so they play knight g7. Saw some even more, right? Knight captures f6, bishop captures f6, queen f3, g5, h4. Knight g7, castles. Here, captures here, and then queen g3 with amazing play. The ideas that we control here, and we have basically 2 main ideas. We have f4, f5, knight f3, knight here and here. right? So we have a lot of great ideas, and also we don't even have to play to g6. We can also just play f4, f5 and combine the plans as well. Just notice that this c pawn is weak, and if we ever play here, we might be able to get this queen to d6 attacking the king, and it's looking kind of shaky. Okay, right? So the London can be very, very dynamic. And that's just what I want to show you today. I know that the London has a very bad reputation of being very boring, but knowing the London fully, you can get some really beautiful games, right? So do not be afraid of the early knight h5. Actually, you should welcome it. Okay, so let's go back. So they played h3 in the game, and we'll follow the game here. Knight gf3, knight bd7, castles, knight to e5, knight captures e5, bishop captures e5. And I didn't like knight captures e5. I think this is basically putting the bishop on the best square, right? Maybe the best move, I think, is knight e4, or even now knight e4, right? The idea is that, and I talked about this in my pawn structure videos, but when you have this kind of pawn structure, a knight basically belongs here. Vice versa, like we had this pawn structure, so a knight belongs here. This is almost always a good move. Okay. So knight e8. This is a really like bad plan. Like, what is a knight doing on e8? There's no reason for it, and we are going to play a move that is basically played in almost every London game when available. Queen h5, right? Simply not mating them. Obviously, like if we get mate here, great. But we're assuming that our opponent's going to see this, right? We're going to play good chess. And we're basically just provoking a weakness. Obviously, they cannot play knight here because we just take, and then we take and mate, right? So g6, and now there's a weakness. Cool. Queen e2, f6. Fine. Now you have made it easy for me to target some of these pawns, but not only that, have you made it easy for me to do that, another amazing thing is that my pawn structure wasn't compromised at all, right? I still have my London pawn structure, and now after f5 saying, hey, you're not gonna destroy me, right? Well, you just made it very simple for me to understand where my pieces need to go. Right? And I would even say that this is a strategical mistake, because after bishop e5, this positional move, the bishop is on its best square. They play a mistake, bishop f6. Now bishop f6 is horrible, and now if we think, what color squares are black's pawns on, or the majority of black's pawns? They're on light squares. We also control a6. Right, so that's going to play a big thing in our development, and we should just play f4. Right, because if bishop captures e5, we can either take with any pawn, doesn't really matter which one we take with, and we block this bishop off. This bishop is blocked by itself, right? Let's say we can even take this way. It depends on which way you want to go. I think we can decide to go this way, or you know, maybe even play c4, but we don't have to. We can play here and here, or c4 after. We can have a combination, maybe even c3, not letting them do that. And c3 is actually quite a good move, right? But in the game after this, they played knight to g7. And so knight to g7, this is a horrible place. I'm gonna trade this, even though this looks like my good bishop. It really just can't move. The good bishop is the bishop that is opposite the pawn chain in the center, which is their bishop, right? So we're gonna make our bad bishop, right? Our bad bishop trade off of their good bishop. And now it's a fight between these two bishops, right? You see how we're comparing minor pieces? Right? Knight f3. a5. Knight to e5. This knight is beautiful here. Rook f8. g3, solid. Rook f2, and I like this maneuver. It's kind of nice. c5, and now they're trying to get stuff happening. c3. Now here they make another positional blunder. Now it seems like, oh well, my bishop is blocked, so I'm gonna just block their bishop, and it's gonna be equal, right? But with c4, you're making another positional mistake. I'll tell you why. The idea is that this bishop is bad. We know it's bad. So why not trade it off? Right? If it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad for the future. And we know that this piece is good, or somewhat good. The idea here would be queen c8. Trying to play here. Of course, they're going to play c4, right? But at least we have this idea on the cards. Right? Trade off your bad pieces for their good pieces or their active pieces. Whenever possible. But they play c4. Bishop c2. Rook c8. King to h2. And now we're just preparing. We're basically preparing g4. Rook c7, g4. Rook g7, keep preparing. Rook f6. Boom. Back. Queen to e1. Very important move. Actually, this, you know, queen to e1 is a really, really amazing move. But in the game, he went kind of crazy and played h5. But the idea was, let's say you didn't play there. If you want to play h4 first, right? Let's say you wanted to play h4 first. The idea here is that they can play h5, and on takes they have mate, right? So that means that you cannot take, and this is a fortress. Now this is surprisingly good, and this might be even like very hard to penetrate and almost a draw, which kind of sucks, right? Right. So so after g5 in the game, they played queen to e1. I'm pretty sure. And basically from here, it is just a matter of technique of winning. b5, h4, knight f7, knight f3, right? We're not going to trade off my good knight for your bad knight. Why would I do that? Bishop c6, bishop d1, right? Really going for this plan. Bishop e8, h5, knight to d6. And basically from here, it is GG. So this is a really, really good game. And I really enjoyed it when I was looking at it. And even from here, let's say, like, so let's go back actually. Here, bishop captures e8. Even here, this is beautiful chess. I mean, they just can't stop the mate, right? Alright. So that's game number one. Very tactical, very positional, very strategical chess, right? It's a very, very beautiful game. And it shows you how easy the London is and basic plans. Next. This game is actually quite amazing. It's played by Rubenstein, and Kivas was a great player. So they basically said, on bishop d6, we're not going to move back. Give me more control of e5. Right? You might say, oh, he has a double pawn. This must be bad for him. No. c5, so what? c5 takes on c5, queen here, g3, so what? Now, queen takes c5 is kind of a mistake. Why? This knight would have preferred going here, maybe to jump to e4. There was no immediate threat, right? And so that probably would have been preferred. Get your pieces active. But it is what it is. Bishop d3, knight to c6, c3. Guarding a lot of squares here. Castles. Castles, h6. And then knight to b3, and now we get our pieces going, right? We always want to keep developing our pieces. Bishop b7. Even though this doesn't look like our standard London, we can learn from these ideas, right? So queen e2, knight e5, takes. And now we fix our pawn structure, right? Knight h7, h4, f5. Knight to d4. This knight is so beautiful here because there's an outpost, right? And this bishop can never move it. And there's never a pawn that can move it. This knight post is beautiful. This knight, I think, is at least worth this rook. Rook e7, f4, h5. Black is constricted like crazy. And we just need a few breaks to get there, right? So on rook g8, king f2, rook h1, get all of our pieces into the action first, right? Rook a g1, knight d7, g4. We've been preparing this. Bishop b1, have to play it, right? I've captured g4, king to g3. Now this is kind of ambitious, but I think we could have done something else. But let's just go with the game. Rook h2, rook to f7, and rook f3, and we just start playing. Now they're gonna win the material back, at least one exchange, but after a few more moves we notice that it is actually quite impossible to convert. And after this game, bam, takes. They trade off queens and king f5 and GG. With the floating pawn rule, which is another video that I made, so go check that out in the pawn endgames course. But yeah, this is the London lesson, and you see that London can be very dynamic. The London can be very tactical, very positional. Again, we're not trying to win out of the opening. We're trying to win in the middle game / end game. We're getting a good setup first for those positions. So I really recommend it. I'm gonna leave a book down below that I think is going to be beneficial to your learning. As always, I'm JT. I'm here to make you better at chess, and I'll see you in the next video.